Hello, everyone. How is everybody doing? This is Tanya Lee for another edition of HARMONITE Spotlight. Guys, I'm so excited for tonight for this particular group of lovely ladies that I have on board for tonight. So as for those of you who are new to this channel, welcome. Much appreciated. If you want to hit like, subscribe, you're guided here for a reason. But outside of that, this whole particular point of the spotlight is to open and expand your mind. Okay. If you are on the healing journey, if you are in the journey of spirituality, of trying to figure out how life is going, you're in the right place. So I like to do every month, have a spotlight of who I feel really shines a light to the community to give guidance. And, you know, I had my first spotlight on here. Hey, look who's on here. Vicky's on here. Hi, Vicky. Make sure you guys, if you're on Facebook, make sure you hit the StreamYard because we are simultaneously casting on Facebook and YouTube tonight. So make sure you are hitting the Facebook link for StreamYard so that you have permission so I can see you all. Thank you. Thank you. So guys, like I said, like I was going back here, we had our first HARMONITE. Vicky was actually on here. She was our first HARMONITE for January. This month, we have two spectacular ladies on here, very near and dear to my heart because one of them I met very early on in my journey of just trying to figure my life out. And one of the things that she had taught me, and the subject we're learning tonight, is on inner child connection. Inner child connection. So I met Anita early on in my in my journey. Let me tell you something. When I met Anita, it was nothing that I imagined. And when we take her on, she's a sparkly glitter, lovely lady. But let me tell you, I had an agenda when I went in there for that meeting. I went in there. Hi, everyone. I went in there thinking that I was going to meet someone on this journey that I wanted to open a retreat, right? I wanted to start something with what I was doing. And I just knew I had this inner feeling of life that I really enjoyed, right? It was like, you know what? I just want to spread joy. I just want to have the appreciation. I just want to go on this journey. Are there any more people like me? I'm trying to find my soul tribe. I was pretty young in it. And I was going through a lot. I was going through a lot of changes. And the first thing that I went through was, you know, I met this lovely woman who kept talking about her mentor and saying, you should connect with Anita. You should connect to Anita. And she might know a couple of people for you to get started on. And I said, all right. So I made an appointment with Anita. And yeah, that went completely down the drain from what I was expecting because I did not even know. I didn't go in for a session on inner child work. You know, I went in thinking, okay, I'm here. I signed up for this. You know, here are my questions. Those all went out the window. Yeah, they all went out the window when I met this woman. So I was very excited when her and I were connecting and she had mentioned, you know, with inner child healing. And I said, I think she would be great for the show, her and Nicole. So let me tell you a little bit about Anita and Nicole. Anita and Nicole are from STARLITE Productions. Okay. Anita's the co-founder of it. And Nicole is the chief of operations for STARLITE. They are both guided on this alignment and on this journey on helping others, especially with past several years. Anita has been on this journey to help people with their inner child connection. Okay. These two women are incredible light workers and they wear many creative hats. And I completely resonate with both of them because we're all creative people. But Anita is an intuitive life coach. She's an award-winning spiritual TV and radio show host. She's a writer, an actress, a model, events coordinator, event speaker. I mean, the whole shebang. She's got everything, right? But Anita's vocation in life is to awaken and advocate the higher self-consciousness in a global movement while helping inspires others to fill their passion and purpose in life. And then we got Nicole, who's like her little wing woman, right? Has this amazing background in production. She's also an author, a screenwriter, a film actress. She's a model, and she's an intuitive life coach too. And she's a Blu-ray healer. She has amazing gifts, including intuitive photo readings. She writes channel messages. She has the clear knowing, the clear hearing. These girls are the real deal when it comes to connecting to your higher self. So without further ado, I'm going to bring both of them on board. Let's get them here. Let's get them here. Welcome, ladies.
Hi.
So excited to have you guys on board. and so excited to
Oh,
talk about this because I know this has been a passion for you, Anita, to get people to connect with their inner children. And let me tell you, for those of you who are new to what an inner child is, would you tell and explain before we get into your background on this of what that is, what it is to do?
yes. It's actually a multi-layered answer, but I will try to sum it up as briefly as possible before we dive into tonight's show. But first and foremost, I just want to thank you, Tanya Lee, for having us on. Like, this is just an amazing point and time for all of us to really come together with our collective consciousness and work together as a group. And this is something that is very near and dear to my heart. And I'm just super excited to be able to share this with others. So without further ado, inner child work. Yes, let's dive into that.
Well, you're welcome, but
So
we're excited here.
thank you, thank you. So inner child work to me is really the core seed, right, of what makes us who we are in our present day inner child. And when I say present day inner child to me means you in this very moment, this very present moment, stemming all the way back into what I like to say when you are actually conceived. And when we are an inner child being, right, and we are in the womb of our birth mother, it really starts there, right? Because even then and there, we are absorbing, we're retaining information, we're growing, we're evolving, even as a tiny, tiny little seed of love and light, right? But we're also collecting things that also are coming through from our birth mother. So whatever she may have been going through, we are now in the womb and we're collecting those energies. We're collecting so much. So over time, your inner child grows into who you are today, but also through the experiences, which are very, very key. So we go through our walk and our journey in life. And as we do, we go through these experiences, right? These human experiences. And a lot of times, these experiences, even at a very, very young age, even a few months, even 1 or 2 years old, we may be experiencing trauma. We may be experiencing things that we didn't know how to deal with or couldn't deal with then. But through our present day inner child in this moment, we've gained knowledge, we've gained information. We've also gained tools in our toolkit to be able to go back to that inner child and vocalize those areas and emotions that need to be addressed. And a lot of times it's also feeling like you couldn't say what you needed to say, right? Vocal validation. It could be that your feelings might have been dismissed, you weren't loved, you weren't nurtured, you weren't accepted. So much happens to all of us. And as I take you through the journey and the process of connecting to a lot of times your most traumatic inner child, there's a lot of unveilings that happen. There are a lot of aha moments, a lot of connections, and a lot more of an understanding of why we are who we are today. So, really understanding our cycles and being able to address them and break them, and really coming back to the core of being your true, authentic self. And
Mhm.
when we are in our authentic being, we are vibrating at a beautiful, natural, organic vibration and frequency. And that allows us the ability to live life in freedom where we don't have any constraints. There aren't any barriers, there aren't any blocks, right? We are able to enjoy life and really focus on the things that make us happy, and the things that we're passionate about. So that's a small little gist, but there are a lot of moving pieces and parts. It's a multi-layered, faceted process, but I find that it's quite incredible to be a part of a lot of the journeys of the souls that I work with, and just seeing them come to these revelations and
Right.
in these moments where they're able to be vulnerable. And
Mhm.
everybody that I work with, I hold a space of all love, non-judgment, and tons of patience. And I hold your hand every step of the way. So, and it just in a short span, that's a little bit about the inner child and working with them and connecting to them, and a
Right.
little bit of what's involved in that.
And it's what's so fascinating with it because I mean, I didn't know I didn't know what the connection was. And I think that when you put a terminology to it, you realize how much you do connect to your inner children on a daily basis,
Oh
like
yeah.
a lot, but you just didn't have a name for it, right? Like you didn't
Hmm.
know what a lot of that stuff was or where that feeling was coming from because we have so learned and been programmed to disassociate our feelings with what actually is going on because we react right away that we're
Yes.
wondering where that reaction's coming from. And, you know, this is becoming so much more common now that I see more of inner child work coming out.
Yes.
And it does, I get so excited about it because I'm like, yes, yes, it's like the core of it. Because we really are just babies. We're sponges. So everything that we take, I mean, you think about it, we're retaining a lot. So one of the things I really love with working with you and, you know, with your one-on-one sessions is I'm sure everybody has a unique experience. I'm sure my experience was completely, entirely different from what Nicole's experience was, or, you know, whoever other beautiful souls are on tonight who've had an experience with Anita. But Anita, because you have gone into this journey of the inner child, of connecting people and holding people's hand to go through the experience guided, what when did you know that this had to be brought up? Like, because you really went through this to the level of like, I think that I'm here to help guide people towards this and walk them through it because I didn't know how to really connect to it. So when I had that validation of someone doing it with me, when
Hmm.
did you really know that that was your purpose in there or that this is what you were aligned to do at that moment? I know it's kind of a deep question, but I'm curious.
Yeah, so I think that kind of started when I opened up my spiritual closet doors, as I like to say, probably around the age of 28, 29. And, I was really questioning everything in my life. And, I feel very connected to the universe, source, different beings, all that kind of stuff. But what really got to me was that I had anger, I had my own frustration. There were a lot of emotions that were really stemming and flowing through me at that time, really causing me to be vulnerable and face things that maybe before I was resistant on, or kind of was just like, I'm not ready for this. But when you get to a point in your life where all you want to be is happy and you want to be free, it really allows you to take a deep scope and be reflective of your soul and love the good, the bad, the indifferent. And how do we do that? How do
Mm,
we love all aspects of our soul? Because I think that's so important. Like, there's things that I may have done in the past where, it might not have been the best choice in that moment, but we learn from them, and forgiving myself, forgiving others to live a happy, healthy life. And so I'd probably say this work began, I'm going to say a good 5 to 6 years ago, but I feel like I've been practicing it on myself first prior to that. And for me, it all started in the womb because I'm like, where is all this stemming from? Where is the core seed coming from all of this in this life?
mm,
And it really brought me back to that. And not to go too in depth or in too in layer, but I remember being in my mom's womb. I remember seeing angels and beings of light, future relatives. I remember getting messages. I remember, Jesus saying, you are meant for big and beautiful things, my child. I send you out. So I came in with the awareness. I came in with the programming of all of it. But it really takes somebody who is dedicated and really wants to make a change in their life, and they're just tired of the old life. They want to shut it away. And so what I found doing this work is that as I'm peeling off the layers like of an onion, right? And I'm really owning every aspect of it, good, bad, and different again. I'm allowing myself to be open to whatever is coming out of that. And sometimes there are things that were quite scary that I had to take a
mm.
good look in the mirror and say, yeah, I'm not liking that. I want to be happy. I want to love myself. And there's pieces and parts in there that feel icky and they feel slimy. How am I going to get them out? And a lot of it stemmed from my early childhood and what I was exposed to. And then later on in life in relationships, as cycles and things started to develop and I really wanted to get out of them.
Right.
So there's a lot involved with that. And I think like for me going through that kind of first and having compassion and empathy for the people that I work with, it allows them to be vulnerable, it allows them to be raw, and it allows them to be real. And when you're raw, real, and authentic and honest with yourself, that's the good work. That's the juicy stuff. That's where you allow yourself to kind of pour out in tears, or you own who you are and you find
Yeah.
another layer of love and light that's inside of you. And you're like, wow, I didn't even know that existed.
And I will tell you, it's addicting. Once you start becoming that level of you're shedding a lot of the old stuff, you get addicted to being authentic, meaning that like the fear kind of dissipates. Or if the fear's there, you're recognizing it right off this. Because guys, it's not something where it's instantaneously. It's like, I've changed, I've woken, everything's perfect. Like that. Yeah. No, there's layers of it. And sometimes you got to revisit shit. Like you got to
Mhm.
revisit stuff because like you said, it's like, peeling stuff. Right. And it's like, oh, I'm back here again. But you have an awareness all of a sudden that you didn't have maybe 2 or 3 years ago where you're like, oh, I now know why I'm reacting, or, oh, I'm doing this, because you're more confident with the relationship with yourself. And
Absolutely.
that's why I really imperative of people doing this work and just becoming so natural that they're talking to themselves that it's like, hey
Yeah.
guys, it's totally normal. You're helping yourself out here. And Nicole, we haven't really heard in this level, but I really want to know too with your experience, because did you go, was it like did you have kind of a similar experience? Whereas the level of when you were working with Anita, I went in thinking that I was doing something else and I didn't go in there. Did you have something like that? Like, what was your experience like? Or were you just like completely enthralled with something else?
So I don't think I knew what to expect. And I had a sister-in-law of mine who actually introduced me to Anita to begin with. And so I went in there, and before I even got in there, before I even knocked on her door, my sister-in-law, I'm very masculine energy. And that's just me. And she goes, "Hey, just so you know, just before we go in, Anita is very upbeat and kind of like sparkles and rainbows and sunshine and that type of thing." And I said, "Oh,
Yeah.
hang on.
What?
This might this this might be a problem." So, but no, as soon as I walked in the threshold, and she gave me this long 20-30 second hug, and I didn't know what to do. And I'm like, my hands, I don't know. Do I reciprocate? Like, I'm not a hugger.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
am now. She made me.
She made you. You guys have been working together for quite some time at this point. The comfort level.
She has
Um,
surrendered.
I have.
But you
I
did
gave
get to
in.
the point you
Yeah.
were open to it. And I do feel that, and guys, this is why I bring people like you guys on board here so that people understand, because everybody's going to relate to or resonate to someone differently. There's so many people that are so gifted out there, and some of them are not utilizing them yet. They're just kind of new to it. But it doesn't matter if you're doing what you're doing or not, or just, being a counselor for a family or friend. We all have these amazing gifts. But once we're open to it, that's when the real magic comes in place.
Mhm.
And that's why I always like to ask my guests when, they come on board is like, how did you start? Because most of the time it's like, well, I did something scary, or, all of a sudden I just decided to do something different. And I'm like, like, because it's usually that. It's usually because they decided to do something different that was not, because that's their intuition. That's your heart saying it's right. It's right. Go for it. Go for it. And, with this connection, I and just so that people have a personal experience, and that's what I do when I come on these shows, I give you myself as an example so that you guys can learn from it. Maybe it will help somebody. I don't know, but I can only tell you my experience. And then I bring on these guests to tell me their experiences so that we can have this open kind of communication. But I know that when I was going through this, this basically the cycle of learning how to connect with my inner child and having these sessions with you, I was also getting therapy, and I was going through a tremendous time in my life where I was going through a divorce. I was kind of unsettled as to what was going to happen next. I had this, this connection with someone that was really strong, and I felt like I had to be in Michigan. Like there was all this stuff going on in my life that I was like, what is happening? I was seeing numbers, I was getting messages. I just didn't know what was happening. And I felt like I was going batshit crazy. And when I was with the therapist was great person, but they also had inner child work, right? And I like doing it. We did some coloring and stuff like that, and I connected. But I didn't realize the importance and the difference that I saw with my connection with you and that therapist. And I'm not condoning and saying therapy is not bad, guys. I'm just saying how open it is that we're using these tools already in regular life, you know, like therapy and stuff like that. They're using these tools, but they're so important. I think they just get overlooked a little bit because that was such a small point of the therapy for me. And when I started to do digging more work with you, I realized it was huge for me because the reason I was there was because I had such high anxiety and tension of going back to a rock bottom for me. And the rock bottom for me was me almost committing suicide. And that was a big deal. In fact, a lot of my family didn't even know. And I did not want to hit that point again. And I said, I cannot hit that point. What can I do to keep me from doing that? And when I started doing this work, I found how important it was to go back. And I was blessed to have things in my life that I gifted myself that I didn't even realize, like keeping a journal since I was 7, doing specific things, right? But the lessons that people are pulling out, that Anita pulls out with you in these sessions, just to give you an idea or sample of it, is unique because I can tell you right now, and I don't know anything about Nicole's sessions or anything like that, but I just know it's a completely unique experience from what she had than what I had and what she was going through. But what she does is she guides you to yourself so that you can figure out the answers. So you're still doing the homework. So for those of you who think that you don't get homework,
oh, you get homework from me.
She does. She gives you a lot of homework, but it's a good way to get through stuff. And I learned so much from me. Like I learned that I was a people pleaser, that I wanted to do everything that everyone else did. And also I was afraid to make decisions because I didn't think I was good enough to make decisions. And it's not nothing wrong that my family or my parents did. It's just that I didn't feel comfortable to make adult decisions because I was like, no, I got to go talk to my dad. My dad will tell me what to do, or my mom will tell me. And that's what I was used to doing. You know, I needed to have everyone else's judgment first before I could make a decision because I don't trust myself. Nope. Where the hell did I get that from? You know, and I had to go back and look at that. And then I had to go back and look at all of the stuff that I did in my life. I was always behind the scenes. I was a photographer. I was creative. I was a writer. I always helped other people, people pleaser. I didn't know anything how bad that was until I started doing work with Anita, until I started really diving deep, going writing and stuff. And then, I think during middle way through, like a year within it, it was not even a year. I think it was like 6 months in it, Anita, I said, I don't want to write anymore.
Yep.
I was like, I don't really want to write anymore. And you're like, okay, what do you want to do? I'm like, I think I'm going to send you videos of me talking. Why? Like,
which I loved, by the way. I couldn't wait to get a video from you. I'm like, all right, where's she at? Where's her heart? Where's her mind at? Where her thoughts at?
And the truth of the matter, guys, what had happened is I wanted to be in front of the camera. That my younger self was tired of being behind, and I didn't realize that she wanted to be in the spotlight. And I'm like, what? No, I don't want to do that. That's horrible. Why would you want to do that? No, you're not. You are not spotlight material. No. So I had to go through this stuff. And for those of you who have been following me for quite some time, you've seen this journey. I literally had gone on from doing nothing to saying, okay, I'm closing my photography business. I'm going to start a podcast with an amazing woman, Johanna, who's on here right now. We started a podcast called The Breakdown. It was just live. We just decided to do it. We decided not to be trying to edit it, making it perfect and all of this stuff, because it never works out when we try to do that kind of stuff. And then I was like talking to you, and all of a sudden I said, I really love tarot, but I don't know why I feel guided to go towards that. I've been doing tarot since I was 17, but I don't do it for other people. That's just something I kind of do like chachi on the side. For me, like, wait, let me look at this. And so when I did that, I realized with tarot that one of the things that I noticed with a lot of the YouTubers on there, and there's so many talented people out there who have amazing gifts who really help people. But one of the things that I noticed was people were becoming addicted to tarot. We're becoming addicted to needing the answers, wanting everything right here. And it burnt me out. And I said, hold up, time out. This is your journey. You shouldn't have to rely on cards or anything to give you the final answer. It's supposed to give you insight to say, okay, I understand that. That's spot on for me. So now you got to go back and say, why am I feeling this way? What messages did I hear so I can do my homework? So I had completely switched from going from readings to saying, no, this is no bullshit. These are the answers. We're going to go through and we're going to do some healing. This is called life coaching. I didn't want to be a life coach. I didn't want to do any of that. Anita will tell you.
Yep.
I didn't want to do any of that, right?
No, you didn't.
I didn't want to do any of that. So Anita, what you did for me, and the reason I'm showing my story, guys, is because I'm using myself as an example, but she helped guide me to those things so that I could pull that out. And that's what a good life coach does. That you don't have to rely completely all on them, right? They just guide you. And sometimes you will go and meet other mentors. I had a couple other ones that, I work with on there, but it's not, it's not our dream come true as a coach to keep you with us all the time.
That's
We
right.
want to see you go.
Go.
Go,
Anyway,
right?
like, I'm going to give you the tools. Have fun. Bye-bye.
So Nicole, can you give us an example of one of your favorite moments that maybe was an aha moment for you for your inner child work that you did?
So I had a lot of trauma growing up that I had to do a lot of reflection work, which I didn't label as such when I was growing up. And when I was doing a bunch of other stuff with Anita, she does a plethora, not just inner child work. There's like toning, there's learning your third eye, opening it up, activating your heart chakras, all this stuff, energetic ethereal work. And while we were on the table, we opened up a young version of me, I believe around like 8 years old or 5 years old. And she was pissed. She was pissed, and it resonated so strongly. Like my body was shaking and I was crying, and I hate crying. I hate crying because it's been instilled in me since childhood to not cry. You got to suck up your emotions, push them deep down inside, and move forward. And that's how we were done. I was military. I'm a Navy brat. And as we peeled back that layer, I finally had a point where I had to not just say I forgive my father for the crap that he put me through. I had to actually make peace with me. It wasn't a forgiveness for him. It was a forgiveness for me, for my younger self, for not being able to do anything. As a 5-year-old child, you're too tiny. My father was 6'2", 200 pounds, like could beat the crap out of anybody. And I was just, there's nothing I could do. It was out of my hands, out of control. And it was something that I needed to heal immensely. Now that was a lot of layers, but that was a huge point with that release. Yeah. And again, I don't like the emotional release, but it's necessary. It is very necessary because you know what? The days that followed, it felt like huge burden off of my shoulders. And I was just like, oh, this is what it feels like to feel lighter, to feel like you don't, the world doesn't owe you anything, and you don't feel like you're a burden to society. And maybe I do have some self-esteem issues, but I'm working on them. And it makes you feel like a little pep in your step, and you're just like, okay, let's do the next one. And then you remember, hey, I gotta release again.
It's so true. And one of the things that I found interesting, and a lot of people don't know this, going in, and it was new to me. So I'm going to bring it up because I think it's really cool. I didn't realize we had more than one inner child. I didn't understand. I was like, so yeah, you're my 8-year-old. So it's that one. Okay. So it's grown up, but really I didn't realize that, like, guys, it's whatever age, so you can even talk to your future inner child. And that is extremely the most prominent and most, that has really pushed me to everything that I'm doing. Anytime someone says, how did you get through it? I said, oh, I'll talk to the future one, because and once you're open to it and you're understanding that it's real because it's coming from your heart. You'll know. The more you practice this, guys, the more you'll know, and you'll feel in tune with yourself. I will be honest, when I first did it, I felt like I was Stuart Smalley a little bit and like, all right, who am I talking to? For those of you who are not Saturday Night Live fans, that was, someone talking in the mirror. But I'm totally aging myself right now. So, but like,
Sorry, Gen Z.
yeah, right.
I'm not sorry.
It's a good era. But like, you feel a little uncomfortable doing it because you're not used to it. When we're children, we're talking to our inner children, and it's so natural and normal for us. And then now, like, when I go back, and I'm lucky because I have journals and journals of stuff that I kept, and I didn't realize all of my gifts until I went back and I said, what a great fucking gift I gave myself. I able to go back and look at it and now seeing a different perception of it and going, oh, that's really what that was. That wasn't my imagination. But I was talking to myself, and I always thought, a lot of it was imaginary or made up. And when you start realizing that the advice that you're getting is actually you, it's mind-blowing. And that's why meditation is so extremely important. That's why, connecting with yourself, giving yourself that present time. But that was probably the big thing on there, was that there could be more than one experience. And Anita, do you have anything more that you can give a little bit more insightful about that? Because I just feel like you can go on probably for hours on that alone.
Yeah. I felt very guided that, we've got, obviously, in my, from my work and through my experience, through myself and helping and guiding others, we really have endless inner children, to be quite honest. But I think the main focus in that is, if you're currently in life right now, and you might be feeling some frustration or anger or depression or sadness. One of the things that I work on is going back to the real source, the real core, the real thread of where that's stemming and coming from. And it could be, again, your 6-year-old, it could be your 8-year-old, it could be your teenager, it could be your 22-year-old, but we go back and we do thorough research on that. And again, holding our hand every step of the way. And I do find that, when people allow themselves to stand up for their inner child, and when I say stand up, again, you might have been in a situation or an experience where, you didn't feel safe enough to express yourself. And so taking that inner child's hand and really giving them the strength and the courage to give you the information as to why they're feeling the way that they're feeling, I feel creates a really profound experience, because it could be something really tiny and small, but to them it's really huge. And when you unveil that, it's like the aha moments again, but it's also being able to release that emotion that might have been trapped in that inner child. And then when you come out of it, as Nicole has mentioned, when you're releasing, this kind of baggage energy that's been stored and shoved and depressed inside you for so long, you come out of it and you feel like a breath of fresh air, even like 24 to 48 hours afterwards. So the results that you get from it are so kind of exhilarating. And I think even you mentioned addicting, because it's like, I want to keep feeling that way. I want to keep releasing. I want to keep letting go. I want to be able to acknowledge and identify the inner children that I'm feeling in this present day and own them and give them the time of day and ask them through meditation in the morning or at night, why am I feeling the way I'm feeling? Because they're the ones that have the answers. They're the ones that are going to shed the light, and they're the ones that are going to lead you to your freedom and your happiness. And that is priceless. When you're able to experience that experience, it's like, man, like I want more of that. You kind of get like this appetite for it. And what's cool about it is that once you learn how to connect to your inner child, and once, we've done the work together, however many times it takes, whatever that may be, you're able to use these tools on a daily basis. And I get messages and emails and texts all the time from clients and friends who are saying, Anita, I have my 6-year-old and I have my 10-year-old today. They're both like this, and one's like this, and one's pouting, and one's angry, and one's throwing a tantrum. And I'm like trying to sit with them and figure it out, but I'm going to go take the time because they deserve it and I deserve it to connect with them and let them get it out. And sometimes we go to a padded room and I just let them have at it. Like if you need to get your anger out, if you need to get your aggression, whatever's inside of you that has been built up for so long, and you need to get that out, that's been stored in there since you were 5 years old, like we create a space and a meditative mindset for you to do that. And you come out and it's just like, whoa, I just did that. Yeah, you absolutely freaking did. You totally did. And you owned it. And you
Right.
owned your inner child in the process. So there's
And I
so
think,
much, absolutely so much with that.
Right.
and I think to add on to that, and I think, Anita, you really made a very, very serious point there, is letting go, to
Yeah,
let go,
Yeah.
because these layers that you're pulling up, you're actually permanently saying goodbye. This is something that is a healing, that is a solution to your traumas, to any frustrations and blockages that you've had throughout your life. And by children, we don't mean, I think automatically some people think, oh, 18 or younger. It doesn't necessarily have to be 18
no,
or younger. It could
no,
be 30. I'm
absolutely.
34. It could be, or well, almost. I don't know why I
Right.
just made myself older. It could be
You live,
it could be
you live
yesterday. It could be your
We have a
21-year-old when you made some bad decisions.
right.
So
yes.
One of our guests on right now, Heidi, had asked if you had any techniques to start healing for the inner child, just for beginning techniques, because she has been through hell and back. So you did mention meditation. I do think meditation is probably the biggest key on there. But if you could give some of the beginner techniques, just so that people can get started, what they can do on their own.
Absolutely. And thank you, Heidi, for being brave enough to, post your question there. So lots of love to you and lots of support on my end to you. So thank you for that. Yes. So I'm mentioning that you've been held back through, through your childhood. Absolutely. So one of the things that also helps is making a list, right? Writing out your anger and frustration that you recall during that time period. What your environment was like. When I take you through a meditative state, one of the things that I do is I have you envision your present day self, and your earliest remembrance of your first exposure. Okay, Heidi. So your first exposure that you can recall on your timeline in this life where you experienced trauma, hurt, pain, abuse, whatever that may have been. And I'll have you close your eyes and I'll have you envision your inner child at that age or age group, because sometimes it's a collective group. Sometimes that child has been through from 6 to 8, 8 to 10, or 10 to 14, or 22 to, whatever, 24. You want to go ahead and focus on what that inner child may have looked like. So I actually have you go through the process of giving me a physical description, because it helps you to actually connect and remember what that time period was like for you. So if you were 6 or 7 and you had long hair and you might have worn a striped shirt or a little skirt or shoes, we connect to that. We also connect to the energy reading. So reading your inner child during this environment that was traumatizing for you, so if it was abuse, what does she look like? What does she feel like? And I will constantly ask you this question: what does she feel like? What do you feel like? Because the major part of this work is connecting to your feelings. So maybe she felt like, she couldn't talk. Maybe she felt sad. Maybe she felt like, she's being exposed to all this. What did she do wrong? Maybe she wasn't protected. Why didn't her mom protect her? Why didn't she do this? Why didn't she do that? Whatever the case may be. And go in and ask her what she's feeling. Okay. And then the next question you want to ask her, Heidi, is what can you do for her? What does she need from you? Maybe she needs a hug. Maybe she needs to be held. Maybe she needs to have a good cry. Maybe she's been so exhausted trying to keep up with all the chaos that's been going on in her environment that she needs to take a good sleep, a good nap, whatever the case may be. You create that environment for her so that she feels safe. That is total key right there, that your inner child feels safe. When she feels safe and she feels that she can trust you, and this is a trust building exercise, so I need to emphasize that, a trust building exercise where she can actually feel like you're going to listen to what she has to say, where you're going to feel what she has to say, and you're going to stand up for her and stick up for her, whatever her answers may be. And sometimes that takes a few meditative experiences. Sometimes they're reluctant to trust us because you put them in that same situation and that same cycle time and time again, and they're going to ask you what makes this time different than the last, so there are a few different things that you can do with that. So number one is meditative exercise and mindset and connecting to your most recent on your timeline experience that you can recall that your child felt, hurt, pain, sadness, trauma, anger, frustration, identifying that. Number two is your description of her, connecting to what she may have looked like, what her environment may have looked like. Number three, reading her energy, asking her how she is feeling. Okay. Ask her how she is feeling and ask her what she needs from you. Okay. Because that helps to build the trust because she's like, oh, okay. She's actually listening to me. She's paying attention to me and she's understanding that I'm not happy and I've got anger, I've got resentment, I've got frustration. There may be feelings of even hate involved in there between the characters that may have been exposed to or taken place during that time. So I hope that helps, Heidi. And feel free to continue to ask questions. I love this kind of stuff. So lots of blessings to you, Heidi.
I felt like that alone was just like probably the holy grail. So I mean,
Yeah.
this is the thing, guys. This is what I was telling you about how it's homework. You really got to connect to yourself. So
Yeah.
the more descriptive you can be about a situation or what comes up. And the other thing too, and it's not that you ignored this, but it's something that I feel that gets ignored on my half because I didn't realize I was doing it. I was dismissing a lot of times the first thing that came up because it didn't seem important.
Yes.
And I had to get in the habit of stop doing that because, you'd be like, what are you connecting to? I'm like, well, it could be, why would I bring up that, I got lost at Kmart? Like, who cares? And then I was like, oh, wait, that's probably because I felt abandoned.
Yes.
So there are things, that just don't dismiss. Even if it seems the silliest thing, it's probably because it meant something to you at that particular age.
Absolutely.
So it's so important to remember those things of how to connect it to there. I mean, I have even gone as far. I remember when I was trying to figure out, I had so much of like going back and forth between all the different ages, right? And I was getting very confused as to which one I needed to focus on. And I remember I was like, I'm going to call them all in a room. A friend had given me a suggestion. So why don't you call them all in the room? I didn't realize at the time I was just calling the ones that were for me at that particular age. I probably was I think it was 40. I'm 43 now. It was 3 years ago. And so I had all the 40-year-olds. And then I was like, why are there so many that are old looking? Why are they old? And then I realized it was me. I'm like, shit, I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you could talk to your future self. And so this is the things I told you, that the divide where you can talk to any age. I do feel, guys, the importance of, yes, of going back, but there's also an importance of going forward.
Yes.
And Anita, can you talk about going forward a little bit? Because there is something I wanted to share as a group with everybody about going forward and back. But I wanted to get your take on the forward part.
Yeah, so the forward part is kind of a cool concept. So basically connecting to your future self, how your future self got to where it's at, and basically giving the guidance that's needed. So, if I were to work with my future inner child that may be like 55 or 60, and I'm like, how is life? Like, what can I learn from you? What kind of messages, can you give me? You might be surprised at the wisdom and knowledge that's given there, and also the support that you may also gain from that because they've gone through more experiences during that timeline since it's in the future, and be able to give you tools and knowledge that could be extremely helpful to where you are in your present day inner child. So yeah, there's a lot to go on with that for sure.
So guys, one of the things I wanted to show you here was the tools that we use, how we can do this. You can use writing. You can use, like I said, you can talk to yourself. You can even just do audio, anything that is comfortable for you to start having these conversations with yourself. For me, I went from writing to doing selfies and talking to myself that way because I felt like I was on camera and I listened to myself on there. But I didn't know how to do that until I talk to my future self on there. And some of the things that you had said is when you can get advice. And I do go to my future self now for advice because they already have the answers. They already been through everything.
Everything.
So I'm like, why wouldn't I listen to that? Because,
Exactly.
and it might seem strange because you're like, well, you don't know. How do you know that's you? Believe me, it's you. It's you. You have those answers because it's the first thing that comes to your mind. I'm telling you, and I have perfect examples of this, that it actually works. It does work. But, I wouldn't be here today if it didn't work. But one of the things that I struggled with that I told you about was my rock bottom of having anxiety about suicide. And I still get that. I still get that feeling. And I do feel that that we all at one point have had suicidal thoughts, whether we've been gotten to the point of doing it to that level, trying, or just thinking it, right? And just alone of thinking about it really brought me to a dark place because I didn't want to relive that same scenario over and over again. But, and as much as people tell you, the thing is with depression, it really is for people who are awake because they see things that they're not sure what to do with, right? So that's where I think that heaviness comes from. People don't understand you. You're lonely. It's like, even though you can be surrounded with a bunch of stuff, but suicide, is such a, like, people get freaked out talking about it, right? And like everyone always gets like on the panic mode of what it is and so forth. But with me, I felt uncomfortable talking about it because not that I was a survivor or anything like that, but like how common it was to have these thoughts, because I was shameful for having those thoughts. Because the first thing that I felt shameful for was because I was a people pleaser. How could I do that to my family? How can I do that kind of stuff? I would, they would be horrible. They would be horribly upset if I did something to myself. But when you're in that level, you don't see it. You don't see anything. It's gray. It's dark. It's heavy. And that is scary as hell to me, to think that, what if I get to that level again? And, the first thing you said with inner child work is feeling safe, is feeling secure. So how was I going to do that? And so what I did is I meditated and I pulled in an older version of me. And the older version that I pulled in, she was 77 years old. And I just asked her, I said, how did you do it? And she gave me a snide remark and said, what you always do, do a video. So I came out going, okay, I'll do a video. What am I doing a video about? Like, what am I supposed to do a video about? And then I thought about it and I journaled some more. And this is not something that I just all of a sudden had this aha moment. When I'm in that deep, dark place, when I was in there, the only thing that I knew how to do was to do nothing and to fill myself up, whether it was food, whether it was drinking, whether it was escaping with friends, or, playing video games, anything to get me out of this world. I would just watch, I would observe, wouldn't do anything. And I thought, damn, my 77-year-old self is brilliant. She just told me to become a video so that when I hit play, I will watch, I will observe, because that is my vice. That's my vice. That's what I do. I escape. I hit play and I sit there in a boob tube and I watch stuff and I just let it play, right? And I'm just ignoring, trying to get myself out of my head. But I said, wow, she just gave me the greatest gift. She just told me to give myself that talk. And I had this grand idea of making it kind of like a Gold Coast video. And it was going to, because, I'm a producer, guys, I'm a creative person. I'm a photographer, writer, the whole shebang. You know me. I love telling stories. So I'm like, oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be inspirational. I'm put music to it. I'm going to make it. I'm going to edit it. And it's going to have this awesome, it's going to be inspirational. It's going to be like Bill Pullman from Independence Day having that speech in the end about the aliens. Like, thinking I'm going to give myself this greatest speech in the world. It didn't happen. I got stuck. I got stuck for months trying to do this video for myself. I got in my own way. I had issues with technology. I had issues with get started. I didn't want to do it. And then I had to work with another mentor who really pointed out to me is like, what's your next step? What's stopping you? And I was like, well, there's nothing stopping you. Well, whatever. What did you do your videos before? And I'm thinking with Anita, I'm like, I just recorded. I didn't do anything. And she's like, well, there you go. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, what? So I did it. I did it in like, I just went and said, all right, I'm going to talk to myself. Let's do it. And I'm going to share to you what message I gave to myself so that I don't hit that rock bottom again. Now, guys, just so that you are aware of this, because I'm going to put a little thing in here just in case people jump on and be like, what's this about in the middle of it. The disclaimer I have here is that this is my fail safe. I don't watch this video regularly. In fact, I haven't seen it yet. I've only remember talking about it and I shared it, with you guys, but this is extremely vulnerable. It's not something that I want to share with you because I feel that there's going to be someone who's going to resonate, even if it's just one person that is going to be able to do this for themselves. And I would really love to start creating something in a level where people are looking at themselves and saying, I believe in you. I believe in you. Because that truly is the person that matters the most, is you. Not Anita, not Nicole, not even me. Like it's you. It's you that matters. So if you can look at yourself and talk to yourself and have that encouragement for you, you'll be fine. You'll be safe. You'll be okay, because that's the person you're going to trust and you're gold. So I'm going to show you guys the video. Hold on. Let me just make sure I put this up just so people know what this is about.
That's awesome.
All right. You're going to see my reaction to it as well, because I haven't watched it yet either. So just guys, make sure you can let me know if you hear the sound. There might be a little bit of a delay, so just keep that in mind, okay? But just listen. Just listen. Hey, you did it. You fucking did it. You hit play. I'm so proud of you. And girl, if you only knew what I have been going through to get you this video. I had to go within at 43 to talk to our 77-year-old self and ask her, how did you do it? How did you get through it? Without the pain and suffering and just living. Like, how the hell did you do it? Because I am tired of rock bottoms. I'm so tired. Do you know what she said, Tan? She said, we had us. We talked each other through it. We got by. We're not alone. And I said, well, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? And she said, talk to her. So I said, okay. And I said, well, the only way I'm going to be able to talk to her, because I know that we do not listen when we are in our rock motherfucking bottom. We don't listen. We turn off. We numb ourselves. We sleep a lot. We procrastinate. We hide. We don't talk to people. And we just say, I'm fine. I'm fine. When the truth of the matter is we're not fine. And then we'll try to do the whole self-care shit over and over again and try to feel a little bit better. But then I was like, okay, well, the only way I know how to talk to her is to do it on a video, because I know that she will have no problem hitting play and listening if she doesn't have to react to it right now. She'll process it. I know her. She'll process it. So I had my answer. I said, thank you, 77-year-old Tanya. Thank you so much. I'm going to go make this fucking video. Hey, I get it. You probably want to turn this off now. Don't. So let me tell you how hard it was. I tried, I had a course, you know me. I mean, we are the artist, right? Let's make this like a Oscar-winning video, right? Let's edit it, let's add music to it, let's make it this way and that way, and make it like a movie so she'll watch. The truth of the matter, none of it was working. My technology was dying, my Mac went out the window, and I just was like, this is stupid. Let's do what we did when we started anything that was on video. Just get the phone and hit fucking play. In this case, I hit record. So here I am, recording for you. You laughing yet? I can only guess that if you hit play, that you are at your rock bottom right now. And I know it's a shitty, shitty place to be. I know you're scared of that because you're afraid you're not going to want to be here anymore. And it's a sucky feeling. But Tanya, you're not alone. You never were. And all the decisions you made, you were never alone. And all the heartbreaks, you were never alone. And all the failures, you were never alone. I know you know the answer is to get up, to get out. There's only one way up, right? Rock bottom. That's what we were taught. Only one way up, and it's a beautiful thing. But I know you're tired. But I need to remind you of something. I know you're scared of that day where you know, didn't want to be here anymore. You're afraid you're going to hit that point again. And so it brings you anxiety and pain, and it makes you numb. Sometimes you just want to eat. We love our fucking ice cream. Play a video game. Or like I said, lie in bed. Or here's a big one. Just not do anything. Just sit with our head and just listen to the continuing nonsense of the what ifs. How are we going to get through this? What are we going to do? I'm going to remind you, because this is why you hit play. Because you are listening to those voices in your head. That is not us. That's not us. It isn't. It's fear. And we decided long ago, on the day that we didn't want to be here anymore, that we were going to face fear. Hold up. I know what you're going to say. No. I know you're going to say that a specific person helped you through, that made you realize something. I do believe you're right, to some point. But Tan, everybody has a story. Everybody has lessons. The reason that that person came in your life at that particular time was because you were ready to listen and see the signs and listen to your heart. It wasn't them. It was you. It was you who decided to stay here. It was you who took the actions to follow your heart. You are what got us here. We're fucking here because of you. Do you know how amazing that is? We finally trust each other. I am so lucky to have you in my life. And I am so proud of every accomplishment you made, including the failures. And I know you're tired. And I know you don't want to keep going up and up and up and repeating it over and over again. But Tanya, we're the phoenix. We're meant to rise. We're the light. If we're already there, then what's the point? It's just like a video game. There's no difference. There's no game over. You start again. I want you to do me a favor. Right now. Can you do it? It would mean a lot to me. I want you to go outside right now. I don't care what the weather is. I don't care where you are. I just want you to go outside. I'll give you a second. You're probably getting upset with me. Don't. It's okay. You can just go outside. I don't care what you have on. No, nobody does. Don't even care. Just go out there. All right? I want you to go outside. And when you're out there, I want you to take a deep breath and close your eyes. And I want you to get low to the ground. Touch it. Feel it. And I just want you to listen and to remember how connected we all are. We're never alone. We choose to face fear so that we can rise above. We choose to face fear so that we can show the way. We love hard. I want you to open your eyes. Do one last thing for me, for us. I want you to rise and keep going. That's what you're meant to do. It's why you're here. You are loved. You are safe. And we believe in you. Take care. That was probably even harder for me to watch because I don't like looking at myself. And I'm not in, that's my fail safe, guys. So that video is really meant for me never to play. It was meant for me to be out in that moment, but to never really play, because I don't want to have to play it there, because I want to remember that here always. And that was something where I was just listening to that and I was watching it. And I said, man, this is tough to watch because I did this as my fail safe. But what a gift I just gave myself. And I'm hoping I gave a gift to somebody else out there who feels this way and is feeling this level of not being able to connect to themselves, because it's really that simple. You can do something as simple as just turning the camera around and talking to yourself.
Thank you.
We do it all the time with everyone else. We do it with everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, and like I said, this is not a video where, you just post and say, this is what it is. She sounds crazy, but that's how easy it is. It's going to sound a little nuts, you talking to yourself, because you're not used to it. I mean, would you agree on that, ladies? It might seem a little abnormal.
I talk to myself all the time, so I don't know what's normal.
Yes. I mean, what is the real normal? But also, I think having a video like that also holds you accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Because as you're holding yourself accountable for that video, it's there and you don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. So you're going to do everything you can to continuously work on yourself.
Yeah.
So that you never have to play it again. And I think that's pretty amazing. I'm really proud of you and all your inner children involved in that, that made that video possible. And for you to be vulnerable and get on there and do that, that's pretty amazing. What do you think, Nicole?
Well, I was going to say, if you notice with the technical difficulties at the end, it said, do me one last thing. It echoed, which was very poignant to me. I paid attention to that. It says, do me one last thing. We love you.
Yeah.
That, I was like, oh, that's not just you talking. That wasn't just you talking.
I noticed that when I was watching it. I was like, man, I'm really channeling there in the end. When I had my eyes closed, I'm like, that's not, it is me, but it's not me at 43. Like, that was me channeling. So and that's one of the things with channeling, guys, that happens is that you can get to that level where it almost doesn't feel like you, but it was you.
It just comes in. It's a part of you. It's a oneness with inside of you that's just there. you know,
Yeah.
if you're open to allowing it to come out and what needs to be said or heard, whatever messages may be. Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, that was very, very deep, and I really appreciate that
Yeah.
as an outsider, you letting us into your world essentially, and something that's very vulnerable, and seemingly at your most vulnerable, your most what some people might label as your weakest point, but really that's actually your strongest point. For
Hmm.
you to sit there and be able to reflect at that juncture is incredibly strong. And I think that's that empowerment that we always forget that we have within ourselves. And that I'm very blessed to know you.
Oh.
That was beautiful. Thank
You.
you.
Me too.
Thank you. Like I said, the whole point of it was because I'm passionate about this as much as you ladies are, but anything that we can give to the community as to why it's so important to connect this way with your inner child and what it's all about. And I hope that this edition really showcased not just the top level, but how deep it can be, how deep the experience can be. And that's one of the things that I wanted to express that with this, because this is, guys, not just life work of like what just the one thing that Anita does or the one thing Nicole and I do. Like, this is just part of it. This is just one part. Like, there's going to be other stuff that's going to come out of this. It's probably going to blow your mind what we do, but it's
Your
so
gift.
it's right. It's like a core, right? You get through the whole point, but to roll it back in, because we are already getting over the hour, and I can't believe how time flies. It just completely flew. Like, what did that happen? We definitely have to do some kind of, part two or something. But
Yes.
I want to talk about you guys and what you're offering for inner child work, because this would be a time for people. I think I have your website here. Let me get your website up here for Starlight Productions, because I'm sure you're going to have everything listed on there. And I will put everything in the description box below, guys, as well. But if you can let us know when anything that is coming up that people might be able to start experiencing some of the work that you do.
Yes, thank you so much for that. Appreciate it, love. Absolutely. So, with tonight's intro of the work and connecting to your inner child, and for those who maybe want to have an experience with me and set something up, and maybe it's your first time, or you're already an existing client and you know what it's about, but you want some more. We are throwing a few promotions for tonight, and this is to really just open up the doors and for you to really get to experience an experience that maybe you haven't before, but that will ultimately shift you and really work with certain areas and aspects in your life that are really asking to be healed. Or just to be shown or unveiled or just to be unmasked, right? And so, with that being said, we do have a few promotions here. So I'm offering, with the work that I do, inner child work. Typically, my sessions for an hour are $150, but we do have a package that we're doing, because a lot of times with the inner child work, it may take more than one to do it, and then you might find yourself, shortly thereafter being able to do your work on your own. But to get you started, we have 5 sessions where they're an hour each for $450. Which is a $750 value. And this really gets you going. It gets that work in progress. It sets everything into motion. And those that are really working on their soul and really wanting to heal different aspects of their life, past, present, future. Maybe there are some specific areas that you actually may already have in mind, but it may take a few more sessions to do that, or to activate, to clean, to cleanse, to clear, to do the things that you want to do to be a more authentic version of yourself in this life, and to really just dive into the work. We have a package where we're offering 10 sessions. Each session is an hour, and that will be for $750. And the value of that is $1,500. So with that, you really get to experience so much with me, whether it's inner child activations, opening up your gifts, doing a thorough work, connecting to your angels, connecting to your ET races, whatever the case may be, because there's a lot of things that I do. I do wear a lot of different hats. So it's really about figuring out what is in your alignment and where you're at on your journey in time, and to really own and hone in on that, and to create that schedule where we have a lot of time, and we can take the time that's necessary to do the work that's needed in that moment. And then we also want to add in there, so everybody who's watching right now, we do want to put a little extra little icing on the cake there. So anybody who's watching the show and contacts our website and does an inquiry, there's a contact us page or the Harmonia community page as well. If you represent the code glitter, all right, because that's my favorite color in all the spectrum.
Right down there, guys. Right down on the header.
Yeah, glitter, right there. We will take $100 off both of those packages. So it's a really great deal, and it really gets you in the vibe and getting to open up your spiritual doors, your spiritual gateways. And for those that already are on board, there's a lot that I can work with you on. So that's super exciting. And then one last thing, which I'm super stoked about and gotten the green light to do, is to offer your Inner Child, Inner Children course. So this is a 6-week course, and we're going to be starting this in April, April the 17th through May 22nd, and it will be every Saturday in the evening, starting 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for 2 hours, and we will work on connecting you, and I say we, like my inner children, myself, my being, connecting with you and really owning in and focusing in on your inner children and the most impactful ones. So really working with those that are really triggered, that you really want to heal, that you really want to dedicate to. And then what that does is it also gives you tools in your spiritual toolkit to use for yourself so that eventually you'll be able to practice this on your own and that you can flourish and do the homework as well. So we're excited to be able to offer that. And that course for 6 weeks will be $1,500, which is a $2,000 value. So we're really working with you guys. We really want to expand your horizons. And what it's really about is just figuring out who you are, what you want in life, and really shedding off everything and anything that no longer resonates with you. And really healing the different layers and different aspects that will allow you to move through this life with freedom, joy, happiness, living happy and healthy, and also opulent. So there's a lot of different benefits that you will receive from doing any one of these things. So yes, starliteproductions.net. You can do the contact us form submission. Code there is glitter. I'm super excited about that. Also the Harmonia community page, which I just love you guys. You've been so awesome and so amazing to both Nicole and myself. Yeah, and I think that pretty much sums it up. So I will leave that with you guys. Nicole, do you have anything you want to add to that? Anything you want to say? Did I miss anything? I might have.
I don't think you did. And
She got it all.
and again, not to therapy is very, very useful, and it definitely has its points, especially tools and in toolkits. And I just wanted to kind of elaborate that, usually a therapist is like $200 an hour. And this is, in a sense, a type of therapy for you. It's you doing your own homework, your own inner homework to permanently heal yourself. So this is very, very important. And I also wanted to go ahead and I believe PayPal does a 6-month like pay as you go. You can check it out. I think we take PayPal and we also take Venmo, and I think there's a third one. Was it Cash App? Yeah. So if that's something that resonates with you, but if it's something that you really feel like, now is the time. I think you have until February 12th. Am I right?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
All right. Until February 12th for these deals.
And guys,
and you can check out my section on the website.
Just a reminder for those of you who are watching on YouTube, if you are not part of the Facebook group Harmonia Friends, and if you feel guided to do so, because they are our HARMONITE spotlight, like these two ladies are, so they can basically, I give them the month floor for that group, so they can be able to answer any questions that come on there. So if you're in that group and you have questions, most certainly you can do that. So you'll probably see these two ladies on here for this month, checking in, making sure everybody's doing okay.
Yes,
we love to see you all there, part of that, and that's what the community is about. Okay, it's helping one another, including light workers. Like we all are here to help each other and come together to show this unconditional love, and that's what it's about. Yeah. All right, guys, thank you so much. Appreciate you guys for being my second lovely lady guest for this month. And we will we will see you next time, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Sounds
Woo!
great. Thank you.